Ours is truly a uniquely American story. The Gore and Strong families have descended from the savannas of Africa, where the origin of the first human beings and civilizations on this beautiful planet emerged. Our families came from across the Atlantic and have survived the trench and plantation conditions of North Carolina, Mississippi and the antebellum South. Some have cohabitated and procreated with the Choctaw Nation and endured the horrible conditions of the American Civil War. Our Gore and Strong ancestors celebrated the promise of emancipation and prospered despite the cruelties of industrialized American inner cities during the Great Migration of the 1920s. Our ancestors were on the front lines of American civil rights movements, proudly embracing their conchs and zoot suits as they became black and proud. Gores and Strongs have been enamored with progressive American presidents, such as Roosevelt and Kennedy, encouraging their youngsters to pursue education and never to back down from ignorance and bigotry, no matter the source. We elected our nation's first African-American president twice, as we remain poised to continue our journey, conquering the challenges of another 200 years in this, the 21st century. So, this is our uniquely American story. Like the narratives of millions of America's people, we've been robbed of the essence of our history, leaving us with only a hidden transcript. We can only strive to better illuminate this transcript and put the pieces back together, one name, one story, at a time. At this point, we can only attach our essence to these two rather unusual surnames. Gore, of Anglo-Saxon origin, is translated to mean a triangular piece of land. Nevertheless, our diligent search for heritage leads us to four formerly enslaved human beings who survived in North Carolina and Mississippi of the early and mid-19th centuries. Zilby and Jack Gore, the first, and Prince and Dianah Strong. According to the United States Census of 1880, Jack the First's mother and father were born in Alabama, certainly before the year of 1810, while Zilby's mother was born in Tennessee around the same year. Both Zilby and Jack Gore first appear in the United States Census slave schedule of 1860 on the plantation of a certain C.M. Goree. The surname Goree is either an Americanized form of a French name or the variant spelling of the Scottish and Irish Gorey, while more than likely the latter. There is little doubt that the surname Gore evolved from this heinous relationship between the oppressor and the oppressed. We know that, while still in their mid-20s, Jack and Zilby raised a family of their own children, while simultaneously raising 5 grandchildren. The 1880 census reveals that their household included 2 sons, Thomas Gore and Bill Gore, ages 4 and 6, respectively. That very same 1880 census also reveals within their household 5 grandchildren: Hattie, Sarah Lou, William, Cora, and Hattie Gore. Coincidentally, The ages of all children and grandchildren ranged from 2 years of age for the youngest grandchild to only 11 years of age for the oldest grandchild. Hattie, with both sons, Bill and Thomas, falling within that range at 4 and 6 years of age, respectively. We can only speculate that Jack and Zilby had an older child who no longer lived within their household of 1880. That unknown child would be the immediate parent of the 5 grandchildren. Unfortunately, the United States Census records provide little assistance in revealing this unknown Gore. Nevertheless, those records do reveal that then 6-year-old William Gore would eventually meet Rebecca Lloyd, and together they would be blessed with 6 children. The 4th generation of Gores that we can account for: Della, Walter, Daniel, Henry, Ella, and Jack Gore II. The surname Strong, from Middle English, was generally a nickname for a strong man. We know that sometime before 1856, both Prince and Diana arrived from North Carolina onto the plantations of Mississippi. While we all can easily imagine the trials and tribulations that they had to endure to survive, we do not know their stories prior to their arrival in antebellum Mississippi of the mid-19th century. Both oral and written history tell us much about how Prince and Diana became first-generational Mississippians. We can confidently speculate that both were part of the domestic and internal slave trade of the early antebellum years. After the abolition of the transatlantic slave market prevented the importation of Africans, and with the invention of the cotton gin, which led to the spread of cotton production westward, many of the enslaved Africans from North Carolina were trafficked to Mississippi plantations. History tells us that the transatlantic slave trade did not completely end until 1859, which corresponds with Prince and Diana's arrival in Mississippi. Examination of the United States Census of 1870 indicates that Prince and Diana were laborers, with 4 children: Vina, 14, Sexton 5, Lizzie 3, and Sampson Strong, 1 year of age. It was then 3-year-old Lizzie Strong who was, over the next 97 years, destined to live one of the most amazing lives that we have documented. Born under Andrew Johnson, the 17th president, and dying under Lyndon Johnson, the 36th president. Lizzie's life spanned 20 the United States presidents and an entire century of American history. Lizzie's life would take her from the remnants of enslavement and early emancipation to several unions. Those unions resulted in 4 children and a 3rd generation of Strongs: William Mello, born in 1890, Gertrude Burnett, born in 1895, Lily Lou Cox, born in 1906, and Ollie Grace Hoskin, born in 1910. Another examination of the United States Census of 1910 documents that then 41-year-old Lizzie Strong was serving as a cook alongside her eldest son, William, who served as a servant in the Lowndes County home of the Thompson family. The identity of 6-month-old Annie Strong within the same household is rather puzzling, and one might speculate that she was a child of William, then 17 years of age. According to original sources and family documents of the Gore family, Ollie Grace Hoskin was born to Lizzie Strong and Mark Hoskin in 1910. Hoskin originated from the Choctaw tribe, a large New Indian population that developed in southwestern Louisiana in the mid-19th century. Apparently, immigrants from the Carolinas and Georgia, Hoskin and other tribal members sought areas where there were Indian or mixed Indian and black families. These mixed families came to be identified as red bones, a term that originates in the African traditions of the West Indies, where red, Igbo, was a label for any mixture of races. The most documented of Lizzie's unions was her marriage to James Rush. The United States Census of 1880 indicates that James was born around 1874 and was a mulatto. The initial documentation of their union appears in the United States Census of both 1930 and 1940, living together with her son and daughter-in-law, William and Carrie Strong, later to become Marlowe, which also indicate that Lizzie and James lived in the same neighborhood as the William and Rebecca Gore family. While a marriage certificate documents their official union in 1946, they nonetheless remained bonded until James' death in 1960. But before their passing, these two families would merge together as one, with the marriage of Jack Gore II and Ollie Grace Hoskin on February 12, 1928. Perhaps many of our questions about our proud heritage will go unanswered for now. For example, how does William Strong become William Marlowe? What circumstances led to the discovery of Jack Gore III's murdered body mysteriously appearing in a Mississippi rock quarry at the young age of 20, and with few records of investigation? We have, however, been successful in piecing together the proud lineage that has bloomed from Jack and Zilby Gore and Prince and Dianah Strong over the past 2 centuries. Their names are quite familiar to us all: Sarah, Rebecca, Daniel, Della, Lizzie, William, Walter, Elizabeth, Jesse, Ella, Gertrude, Jack, or others. The African American tradition of naming serves as a testament to their efforts to pass on valuable family traditions and history as best that they could. After all, this is why so many formerly enslaved Africans chose to keep the names of their oppressors, such as Gore and Strong. Therefore, we now issue a direct challenge to each and every family descendant. Whether you are a Rush, a Marlowe, a Shelton, a Metcalf, a Peterson, a Burnett, a Shanklin, a Scott, a Gunn, a Robertson, a Buckingham, a Ware, a Howard, a Thomas, a Trimble, a McAllister, or others, to continue this process. And, together, we can reveal our true history and our uniquely American journey, and put the pieces back together, one name and one story at a time.